All right, guys, our first video of the day. Next year will be the most important year for Star Citizen, and this is from GrumpyEye. And yeah, I agree 100%. And I'm sure we're going to agree on a lot on this video. So let's see what he has to say. If I can get it to play.
Hello and welcome to yet another GrumpyEye's rehab facility video. This one is gonna be, well, it's probably gonna be low energy one because yeah, I'm still sick and I'm constantly tired and all that. It's just like,
did he get COVID?
Blank, honestly, but I'm gonna try to keep this real short as possible. And
23
I'm gonna roll
minutes.
the intro, so let's talk about Star Citizen.
Hello, my name is Grumpy.
Classic Grumpy. Gonna keep it short.
Right, so first off, before we start talking about Star Citizen, I gotta mention not the sponsor, but like the sponsor is me and the patrons, of course, but I'm gonna mention them in the end of the video. But yeah, we're gonna have a giveaway with like 5,000 subscribers. So if you like my content and you wanna support me, you can do that by like subscribing and watching my videos and going to the like Patreon link and all that.
Hell
but
yeah.
also, if you want to win a free ship, basically, yeah, it's gonna happen when we hit 5,000 subscribers. The second thing that's gonna happen is that I'm gonna drop an album, and here is a snippet of another song from that album.
Oh.
Hold on to whatever makes you whole. Hold on, and you might make it home. Hold on, is this the only way we know?
Damn.
They are pushing us apart, 'cause there's a darkness in our hearts.
What? That is so cool.
So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fun things happening when we hit 5,000 subscribers. That's like 30 or 25 more subscribers, and that's just amazing.
Oh, he's got to be there by now,
I haven't
right?
been posting much lately, and for you that didn't catch my latest video,
5,000?
or the last video prior to this one, yeah, I got a cold and I'm like sweating the whole fucking time, but I'm also
Wait, I'm
cold,
not subscribed?
It's just fucking annoying.
Okay.
And on top of that, I realized
Am I
that
on
like
the right
uploading
account?
DCS and
No,
other
that's why I'm on the
games
wrong
is just
account.
like,
Okay. Well,
bringing the views
I subbed
down
on a
and
second
the
account.
discovery rate and all of that, so I just stopped. I am like, my channel is too small, and it was like such a hard work to make it to like 5,000 subscribers that I really don't want to open a second channel. So therefore that's not going to happen until maybe when we get to I don't know, 10, 15, 20k subscribers, but yeah, whatever. So with that said, I'm sweating like a motherfucker. So with that said, Star Citizen has hit 500 million, and you probably already seen that. All the YouTubers, all the Kotakus, and all the like news articles and all
mentality
that.
there.
We're talking about that, and
I really think having multiple channels makes a lot of sense, but
my thoughts on that.
It's worked out really well for me.
Cool, fine. That like CG is a company, and that company is delivering a product. Like, it doesn't matter if the product is good or not, they are delivering a product which is usable at this point, somewhat usable. It isn't what was promised, but it is a product. So it's basically like when you see a picture of a Big Mac and then you get a Big Mac in the McDonald's.
He uses promise so much. It drives me insane. It's still trying to become what they promised. I think we all know that they won't deliver, but
and it just like shows up and just ugly and it's tasteless. That's basically it. That's Star Citizen. So
yeah,
they are a
and
company,
it's
they're
not a
making
promise.
money, and that's normal. And why should you be mad about, or why should I be mad about a company making money? Do I like it? I mean, I don't care. They're making money because they're selling ships, and people are buying ships because they like the game, or they want those ships to like just to have those ships in the future once the game gets released. But
I think there's plenty of reasons why people buy ships, but most of them are in their own heads, right? Like you look at a ship, this is what I'll do with it, exploring all these things, and because we don't know what the game is actually going to look like.
But should you care about that? Not really. Because, like, does it affect you? No. Are they scamming people? Well, it's, like, debatable. Because, like, it's... I already made a video about that, and it's going to be, like...
I think you should care about ship sales.
It's the most stupidest scam ever if they're actually scamming people. Because they have, like, 700, 800 employees. They have, like... they're renting spaces for those guys. And they're even outsourcing a few other companies to work for them, for example, Turbulent. And like, if it is a scam, which is from my point of view, it is not, but if you think that it's a scam, just think about it. It will be the stupidest scam in the history of all scams. Now, with that said, the main topic of this video is gonna be, or I'm gonna try to keep it short, and I'm just gonna say one thing here. The next year is gonna be the take it or leave it year for Star Citizen, and here is why I think that. Like, we're gonna get PES with 318, and we already saw how many times like 318 got postponed, and or for how long, and like the state of 317.2 after being in the PTU like twice. For me, it was unplayable. For most of us, for most of you guys that are watching this channel, I guess you're like having the same issues. Some of you.
Dude, there's such a combination of issues that has made 317 so bad. Like, the thing that I think a lot of people were really excited for was something like Siege of Orison. It had a ton of issues and bugs. The server stability was terrible. Then on top of that, we've essentially been playing the same patch for 6 months. There's like, it's just like piling on and piling on to why this patch is so bad.
I don't know, steel nerves, but I don't, and I can't fucking bear playing it anymore. But I'm waiting for 318. But after 318, we have 319 and then 4.0. That's what Chris said. We will see if this is gonna be true. But this major milestone is, or in Star Citizen terms, is gonna be a milestone, a major milestone, is gonna be a thing that's gonna like make it or break it. Because with server meshing, there are no more excuses. Squadron 42 should not be an excuse anymore. Or in other terms,
that's what you think, Grumpy, until they make another one, right?
If they release server meshing in 2023 and they still focus on Squadron 42, then you would know like what time it is, because they were always talking that like most of the tech is not here, you can't do this and this and that because server meshing, and like server meshing is a Jesus patch and all that. So once we get that server meshing or that Jesus patch, that will mean that there's gonna be a ton of content pouring down the pipeline.
Oh god, this expectation is really rough. So the big thing that I think that they've done a really good job of sharing is with PES and with other tech. Like, let's look at looting, right? And I think looting is probably the best example of where they've done a really horrible job of it so far, and in some cases have done a good job. If you look at the there's a couple moments where they did a really, really good job. Siege of Orison, they did a really good job with looting the data pads being on the character, and that's where you find more information about how things work. Some cool items to loot at derelicts with the Montreal team, right? So there's been a couple moments where they took looting and they used it in a really cool way. Now, game designers need to take persistence and learn how to develop with it and make really cool content with that. It's not just gonna flow. It's not like, okay, PES is here, okay, server meshing is here, boom, the floodgates are open, we've been waiting for this the whole time, the content that we made forever ago can just happen now. No, now they have to actually develop using these tools. So it's like, I don't know. It would almost be in comparison to like getting a new power tool, but needing to know how to use all the bits, maybe something like that. So it's not the second that server meshing comes out that the content should just come out quickly, but after server meshing comes out, it really should be a time where you start seeing them work on tangible content, features that really matter. And I don't know whether or not Tony Z's economy stuff requires server meshing and all these other things. I don't believe it does, because certain elements of it are already hooked up in 3.17. So that's a whole nother basket of potatoes, I guess, that need to be juggled into this mix as well.
We will see if that's gonna happen. So that's why I'm saying that, like, and you can tell me down in the comments if I'm right or wrong, or if you have another perspective.
I don't think he's wrong, but I have another perspective.
That with server meshing, we will start understanding what Star Citizen is actually supposed to be.
Yes.
Because we are currently playing another game. This is not Star Citizen. This is like, hey, here's something while you wait for Star Citizen. It's basically like going to a restaurant, and while you're waiting for your main order, you're like just eating peanuts that are on the table. So
yeah,
like
it's
the
not
thing
even
that
the
we're playing right
appetizer.
now is just like peanuts off the table.
Post
so
server
once
meshing
we
should be
get
the
server
appetizer.
meshing,
It's a good analogy.
Start understanding what Star Citizen is actually supposed to be in the mind of Chris Roberts and in the mind of the developers. Of course, there's going to be some balancing, and there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be added down the line, but we currently can't really say for, like, we can't be completely certain like what Star Citizen is going to look like in like 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I'm saying this because people still think that you'll be fine just having an Aurora. And honestly, the closer we get to, this is just an example. There's a bunch of reasons, but this is just one of the reasons. The closer we're getting to server meshing, the more I understand that, like, you will not be able to jump from point to point with just an Aurora. You will need to have a bigger ship. I don't know what the like smallest ship that's gonna like be able to go through the wormhole to jump to Pyro, like what that ship is gonna be, because like it may be just like a freelancer, but also it may be a Carrack, and like nothing less than a Carrack can jump there. You never know, because
we don't know. We just don't know.
It's top secret. It's not top secret, but it's just like Star Citizen, and they are constantly
it's all balancing
changing.
stuff. The whole thing is like Pyro will come out. There'll probably be some issues with that people have with, oh man, I'm not able to, I'm only able to come here with these ships. I don't have these ships. What am I supposed to do? I can't even enjoy the patch at all. So then they'll take fuel and rebalance it. I believe fuel has been balanced specifically for the Stanton system for this entire time, because they knew we would have it for this long, and it will be entirely changed the moment that we have jump points and other star systems. That does not mean that small ships will be able to just travel across systems, but I do think that there'll be if a slight rebalance, definitely a slight one, and a major one possibly as well.
Even the developers don't know what the game is going to be like, because like
yeah,
if
ship
you
like
go
the Liberator would
and
need to come.
read the Q&A for the Cuddy Red and the whatever the com link for the Cuddy Red when it got released, you're going to see that you're going to be able to respawn inside of it, but you're not able to respawn inside of it. And you can search for that and you can find that, and that's it. Like if you don't trust me, fuck you. Honestly,
I mean, he's showing it, and I think that this, I don't know why this is a part of this conversation, but this is, I think, one of the worst things that they've done so far is they created a problem and then sold a solution with the Apollo and other larger ships.
Like I said, this
is like one of the only examples that they've really created a problem and sold a solution. But you can buy this in game, and I don't think it's super expensive. So.
And I had this on the screen like 15 fucking times already. But yeah, the game is constantly changing, and like even the developers do not know what it's gonna look like. So yeah, maybe you're not gonna like it. Maybe you're gonna find that like mining is super boring and super exhausting because you can only mine on, let's say, Stanton, but you're not gonna find Quantanium there because Quantanium is gonna be taken out and moved to Pyro, for example, because Pyro is lawless, because the higher the risk, the higher the reward. But in Stanton, because it has some laws and all that,
I hope they do something like
you're
this.
not gonna be rewarded by having that much Quantanium, and maybe you're just gonna be like scooping up backslides on Stanton, and you're gonna find it really boring and exhausting, and you're not gonna like it anymore.
What I really hope happens is there's a lot of Quantanium in Stanton, but in Stanton it doesn't sell for a lot, but in Pyro it does. And then in Pyro there's something to mine that, well, you can't sell there at all for whatever, like maybe you just can't sell it there, but it sells for a lot in Stanton, right? So there's this trade that needs to happen between the two systems.
And you're gonna like reminiscent of the good old days of
And then you take the risk both ways.
When you could have, like, I don't know,
and the reward is both ways.
But yeah, like
but
the
point
risk
is
that I'm trying
huge.
to make is that like everything is gonna change, and the developers don't even even the developers do not know what's gonna happen and how everything is gonna be balanced. And with death of a spaceman and all that coming, like nobody can actually say if this is the right game for you. There's gonna be even more time sinks, and you're gonna be.
When's they gonna talk about next year and why
Stanton
it's
to
the
Pyro,
year?
from Pyro to Nyx, and maybe we're gonna get Odin or whatever the next system is. Maybe we're gonna
Classic
get
Grumpy.
more systems in the next
keep it
2
short.
years. Maybe, you never know. But like with all that, there's more time sinks, and you're just gonna spend more time with. They're gonna introduce pooping before they introduce I don't know, data.
He's talking about
or,
pooping now.
Some of the major mechanics in the game. I'm pretty sure that they're gonna.
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, he talked about server meshing being really, really important, right? But now I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Pooping first. But yeah, with all that, there's going to be a lot of time sinks. And for all of you that are older, and I'm getting older, I'm 35. Kickstarter was it happened when I was 25. And in 10 years from now, I'm going to be 45.
27, 26.
I don't have a kid now, but I'm going to have a kid probably at some point. And how the fuck am I going to manage my time to play the game if it's going to take me I don't know, 2 hours just to get to a point, and I have to shit 2 times, eat 7 times, and all of that, and you just get to a point, and then I did nothing, but I need to log off because I have a life, basically. I mean, it's happening even now in the current state of the game, and it's gonna be even worse down the line, because they're going to introduce more and more time sinks. Some people are going to praise CAG for the time sinks. Some people are not. But the fact is, the second point is that if we don't have a pouring pipeline of content after server meshing is in,
okay, here we go.
That's just going to mean that their main focus is always going to be Squadron 42. And the reason why I'm saying this is because they already promised, or they already announced 2 more sequels or chapters. I don't know, whatever. So after the first one, which is in development still, and we don't know when it's going to get released, but after the first one, there's going to be at least 2 more. And if they're successful, and I already made a video about this, it's going to be linked here. If they're successful, this is the gist of the video. If they're successful, CAG is going to focus on Squadron 42 basically forever and keep the Star Citizen on the backline or the backlog, whatever, for a longer duration.
I think he's making a lot of assumptions here, but I made some also with Star Citizen Live this week. The guy who works for he's the head character artist now for Star Citizen, and he's at the Montreal studio, and he's making his own team in Montreal. It sounds very much like the Montreal studio is taking over a lot of Star Citizen's development as more and more people from the UK studio and other studios are poached for Squadron.
of time because yeah, like they will want to milk the cow because it's gonna make him a lot of money, and if it makes him a lot of money,
It's a
why
single player game.
make
The
Star
cow
Citizen
is
if
still
Squadron
Star
42 is
Citizen.
making more money? They're gonna like continue developing Star Citizen, of course, but maybe it's still gonna be at this pace, and you know that this pace is not good. Like 10 years, I'm 35. In the next 10 years, we're maybe gonna get like 5 more systems maybe, and a few more mechanics, or in the next 10 years we may get a finished game that's like been finished for like 5 years. You never know. If they continue at this like snail pace, in the next 10 years we're gonna have basically the same game that we have right now.
There's not going to be a Wii if they continue at the same pace that they're at right now. Because you're not going to be there, I'm not going to be there, and probably nobody watching this shit's going to be there. Because by that point, we all would have been burned out. Right? That's it. So I think that that's kind of what's... The whole idea behind this is at some point, the pace of development is supposed to ramp up. We have not necessarily seen that yet. Are they doing more now than they've done in the past? Yes. Does it seem like they have more tools now than they have in the past? Yes, but I haven't seen the ramp. If we're on a ramp, we're at the very bottom still. And I think both Grumpy and I hope, we don't believe, but we hope, is that after server meshing, we're really starting to get towards the steep angle of that ramping up.
Which is not going to be Star Citizen, which is not going to be the finished product. And I'm like not saying that like Star Citizen ever needs to be finished or that it needs to have like 100 systems and get released. No, I'm saying
it does need to be released.
Talked about this with
there
Space
needs
Tomato.
to be
I'm
a
saying
start.
that like if you want to have a minimal viable product which like has all the game mechanics and I don't know, a dozen systems or maybe 20 systems, that is enough for Star Citizen for like a finished game that's going to get released, even though it's released right now, and then you can just add to it and add to it forever, basically. But if in the next like year we don't see that like the pipeline has opened and that there's like a constant
there
flow
has to be a start
of a ton
for
of
the
fucking content
progression
for the game,
point,
and a ton of like gameplay mechanics,
finished
then
it will
we
never
know
be.
that Squadron 42 is always going to be their like primary focus. And even if like if it flops, it's probably it's maybe gonna like drag Star Citizen down with it. But if it doesn't, if it's a great game and people play the shit out of it and they love it, then they're, as I've said, they're gonna want to milk the cow.
What does this have to
and,
do with next
yeah,
year?
Everything goes down the drain because Star Citizen is always gonna be the side project that like funded the main project, and then they have the main project, and that's
Is
it.
Squadron 42
And,
coming out next year?
If that happens, I'm pretty sure that like most of you are not going to be here anymore. So that is why I am saying that like next year we will see if that like it's gonna be a take or leave it situation, and like because there is not gonna be any more excuses. Like we had excuses for like yeah, the server tick rate, the server load is too high, the servers can't handle that, and then the only excuse that they can make is
I agree that they have less excuses. I absolutely truly believe they will make up other ones, but they can no longer blame the servers on their bad code or their bugs or their issues or anything like that anymore. And it should open up a lot of issues and hopefully fix a lot of bugs. As well as
we had like Squadron 42 is
develop.
the focus, or they can say, and they will probably say that yeah, it's server meshing tier 0, it's server meshing. And I just have one thing that I wanted to say about server meshing. Go play PlanetSide 2. It got released in 2015. It is like it has ground vehicles, air vehicles and ground vehicles. It has players with like guns and all that. It has mech suits. It has everything. It's not Star Citizen. It's not like as slow paced as Star Citizen is, but it has like 2,000 players or even more players on a server fighting each other all over like territory, and there's like just go play it or watch a video on it, and you're gonna see how amazing it is for like 2015 when it got released, and that's like 7 years ago, and that's 3 years after.
Pretty wild.
Star Citizen started development.
They don't have that first-person issue that Star
meshing.
Citizen does, right? So yeah, it's a first-person game, but like the first-person animation thing that CIG does, I think was one of the dumbest things, because it causes them so many more problems than it helps.
Was not a thing, according to some people. And yeah, so once we get server meshing, and even if it's static server meshing, which it's gonna be, we will know if CEG as a development
the unified
company
rig stuff
is good enough to honor the contract and honor their word of like releasing Star Citizen and doing all the stuff that they said that they will. If the pace is still as slow as this one is, from my point of view, it's leave it kind of a situation, because that just means that Squadron 42 is always going to be their main focus. And why would you, like, if Star Citizen is not developed enough to have like more fun for more than a month inside of it, then you can just like come back in a few years, and maybe come back in a few years until you die.
That's how almost everybody is playing the game right now, is they just come back for the patch, check it out, and then they go do other things. And that's healthy. But like, he's right though. How long is it acceptable to do that for? Some of us have been doing that for 8, 9, 10 years. That's like starting to not become okay. And for me, like, the cutoff point is server meshing, like it is for him. But obviously they need a little bit more time after that, where you play it, like it comes out, and then the developers are able to make content within it.
Basically, it's stupid, but it's as simple as that. It's actually as simple as that. Like, honestly, I think like Chris Roberts is going to retire before the game is finished. But that's just my thoughts. I'm grumpy, and I'm like I'm hot, but I'm cold, and all of that. So I'm cranky. So it's even worse now. And coming back to the first thing that I said, with like, are you going to even like Star Citizen once it gets released or gets like closer or
no
like
way to
more
know.
Developed? You never know, because Star Citizen is a catch-all project, and the issue with like catch-all projects is that like it does do exactly what it's supposed to do. It like catches all, and you can see this in politics. Like, there is a bunch of like catch-all politicians, and so they catch all the voters, and then the voters realize that holy shit, he's not the guy that I thought he was. And it's the same with products, it's the same with games. And honestly, I don't even know if anyone ever attempted a catch-all game like Star Citizen. But the problem with that is
failed
that,
a lot earlier than this one.
A lot of people are gonna be surprised once they see what that game is actually gonna be like, and then they're gonna just leave. And I'm not gonna leave because I like the catch-all aspect. I love the idea of the game of all games that's just gonna.
I will never say I'm not going to leave. There are definitely boxes that need to be ticked for me, and if they're not ticked, I see no reason to continue playing. But I will wait until there's an X in the box or there's a check mark in the box.
Like your FPS shooter, your tactical FPS shooter, or whatever, it's gonna have like ship-to-ship combat, it's gonna have vehicle combat, it's gonna have a bunch of shit. But some people are not gonna be interested in that. Some people just maybe want to race. Some people want to do something else. It doesn't matter. But some people are not going to be interested in that, especially in the like RPG style of well, we don't really have
no
an
RPG
actual
style.
like RPG style of progression, but we will have a sort of an RPG style of progression down the line. So yeah, it's gonna be a turnoff for most people, and I don't know if you are one of those people. And like, how does this like connect with the next year and server meshing? Well, it does, because with server meshing, if we get more and more things, and if the process of hopefully if this happens, and I'm hoping that it will, if we get more and more content pouring in into Star Citizen, we will start seeing if this is actually a game for us or not. If we made a bad investment or if we made a fucking great investment. If your investment was like $45, you already got your like money's worth with like playing a couple of patches and grinding for all ships and all of that. You can come back and you can see the progress of the game and all that. So you already got your money's worth. But if you like invested more than $45, or if you invested like 20,000 as my friend did, then it's gonna be really, really bad if you realize that this game is not for you.
I think, yeah, using words like invested,
so that's fine,
not,
but still,
not healthy.
Next year, he is going to see like a glimpse of what Star Citizen is going to be like in the future. But I hope it's going to be amazing. I hope that this is going to be the best game ever. Not the best space game ever, but the best game ever. But yeah, it's really hard to say. At this point, it's the worst game ever. But yeah. I guess we'll see. Tell me down in the comments what you think about this, because I want to open up a conversation about this, because I want to hear your thoughts on this. And if like if server meshing is here and
I don't know how you can look at
continues
this,
like this like
and look at any of the content they've made yet and think that this will even remotely be game of the year in any aspect so far. They have to prove to me that that's what it's going to be. They can't talk about it and then me think that this is going to be game of the year. I have to play it and it has to feel like game of the year. And game of the year doesn't have to be that complicated. It Takes Two was game of the year for me.
Nail-paced development, because it is like watching a flower grow, and the issue is you don't know what that flower is gonna be. Is it gonna be a rose? It's boring to fucking watch it. It's slow as shit, but it's growing. It's something is happening, obviously. But is it gonna be a rose or is it gonna just be a weed? Like you don't know. Is it gonna be beautiful or is it gonna be like, I don't know, smelly and disgusting? Because you really don't know. Are you gonna like it or not? Like that's my point of view. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. And yeah, that's it for today. I promise that I'm gonna be making a short one. This is the shortest that I can do at this point because I'm so fucking tired. But thank you for watching, and thank you to all my patrons for supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel, there's going to be a link down in the description of the video. And yeah, like you're supporting me for buying equipment for this studio and for like buying ships for Star Citizen to review them and to give them away and all of that. So if you want to support me, you know where the money is going to. And that's it. Thank you for watching again. And don't forget to bring a towel when you're traveling through space. And bye.
You know what would be sick? If you just had your Patreon and it supported him, the person. Food, drink, housing, all that stuff. I don't want to support some ship giveaway. I want to support the person because I care about the person. That's how I feel. That's you know, but how I feel about the few times that he did talk about the next year, I'm on the same page with him, but I'm worried that his idea of what might happen is not realistic. Does that make sense? The idea of server meshing coming out. First off, it won't be dynamic server meshing. It won't be the last iteration of server meshing. It will not work well when it first comes out. What I expect is very buggy patches for a little while, and then hopefully at a similar time as things stabilize, you also have mission teams, content teams, planet tech team, you know, every team on board using the framework of the game now, which is kind of much more clear once you have server meshing, to make interesting and fun content. But the big monkey wrench is that Tony's the economy. And I think you're going to hear this a lot from me on a lot of my outlets, my Twitch stream, SaltEMike 2, while I'm reacting, as well as We Can Review, the podcast, like everything on the main channel, is the big issue here is what's going to make the game interesting is not necessarily the actions in which you take, but the reasons why you feel you should be taking those actions. And the only thing that I can point to that will really, really do that is whatever Tony Z is working on, which we're not hearing about at CitizenCon, which we haven't heard about since last CitizenCon. Well, I guess that's not true. You know, there's like elements of it in the game now, but they're not really impacting us. So we can ask and we can expect for all sorts of different experiences. They can literally put every career type in the game, but if there isn't a really kind of the glue that puts it all together, if that's not there, then the game's still not going to be fun, at least not for me. And yeah, so as always, I'm just one guy, so I have my opinions. Grumpy is just one guy, he has his opinions. You guys all have opinions out there, but the YouTube comments aren't always the best place to have a conversation. So I do have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, and I do have a Discord server, discord.gg/SaltEMike. So if you guys want to talk about these things, then those are probably the better place to do them. But yeah, leave a like, comment down below if you want, and subscribe for more, and say hello to YouTube chat.